Welcome to an interesting episode of a different flavor on the JMP Saves Cars channel. So recently, I made the decision that, I wanted to see what one of these cheap temu chainsaws is all about. So I decided to take the $80 risk on this unit right here, the Chainsaw 5200, to kind of fill in for the old 034 AV with the 046 top end with the bigger bar than factory. This saw has been a beast. I bought my house in 2015. I bought this chainsaw at the same time. It had been freshly kind of rebuilt and revamped and modified a little bit, and it served me well, but I can tell you for sure that
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
it runs hot on hot days, and you got to run more oil than you normally would, and you got to tune it accordingly to what you're doing. If you're cutting real big wood with this saw, you got to keep the fuel going to it, and it's kind of hard to keep it in the power with this bar, but it's lightweight and does quite a bit of chain speed. Just a good all-around saw. This thing is definitely light duty, and everywhere that I looked upon initial inspection of this saw, there's some kind of pitfall or designed failure point so that the saw will break on you before you're able to really hurt yourself or something. They got some nice decent hardware kind of everywhere, right? Those are a little small, but they're still 3/8. Oh, okay. So if you do buy one of these, that's something to look out for. Be very careful with the handle. Make sure you tighten it up. How are they able to make these so cheap? All this stuff is 3D printed.
China.
And then the parts that are actually critical are like die cast aluminum. See, when you flip this guy over, it's got similar features. See, there's the L frame. The oil screws on the other side of it. And then, they use some decent hardware. And look at this handle. This thing has, it's been used. Let's have a look under the covers. So that's what you get for a filter on one of these. That's the setup. Actually, take a look. See how it's 3D printed? Yeah, you can tell. You can tell a little bit. The air filter is 3D printed. It doesn't have the little foam guys. This is, yeah. Cheap, but works. Here we go. I've already been into this thing a little bit, because what I did is I actually pulled the plug out and took a look in the cylinder, looked down through the exhaust port, and there's an issue. Am I going to fix it? No. I'm going to see what it looks like after we kind of break it in, because this was run at the factory. The plug's got a little bit of time on it, and I'm looking at the exhaust port, and if this was the top of the exhaust port, that edge is pretty sharp, and there's a little triangle of highlight right there. So the ring might be catching that just a little bit. So brings me to my next point. They tell you right on here, 25-1. This thing's gonna be smoking like a Detroit, but you need to do that because the difference between this and this is that when you buy one of these brand new, the parts inside of it are actually really well fit together. And that saw is meant to encounter wear and abuse throughout its life. This saw is meant to encounter wear and abuse at one point that will end its life. See what I'm saying here? So something like this, if you're handy with tools and you're careful, you can buy this, improve it, get rid of the defects, and you can use it for quite a long time, I imagine. We'll see. See those screws down there? You can get to them through this rubber plug. And before I even start this thing, I went ahead and I backed those out 1/8 turn a piece, just so I know that I've got plenty of fuel going through. And when I first start this engine, I'm going to feed it some WD-40, and we're going to run it through the first tank, and I'm going to get oil in here. It actually suggests motor oil instead of bar and chain oil because the pump's probably made of plastic. So we're going to follow their advice.
Now these people from the future are showing up.
Get the gas in here, and we'll see if it'll make it through its first tank of gas. All right, we got some chemicals, we got some equipment. This is the toolkit that it actually shows up. It says so. It's a toolkit. Toolkit. And inside of the toolkit, you got some tools. It's nothing that special. A couple Allen wrenches, saw wrench, file that I won't use on this, and a little screwdriver. So let's take a look at this. They give you this little jug here, and they wrote stuff. They wrote stuff over here. First, fill the gasoline on the scale marked 576. Then fill the oil until the scale marked 600. Shake the mixture, then fill into the tank. Can you not drop start this? Oh, that's concerning feeling. It's got this like lead into the starter. I know what it is. This rope is stretchy. Alright, we're gonna start it the sissy way. Alright. Start. this log here and some brush to cut, so it's a nice little easy thing that this chainsaw should be able to do very easily. We'll see. So the whole point in running this saw right now is to get it broken in a little bit, so me and my brother can run kind of like a comparison video. So we're going to be testing saws from, let's see, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you name it. We're going to test them all. And we're going to see what's good about certain ones, what's good about others. It's going to be fun. So let's fire this thing up and do a little work with it. And I'm just going to kind of nurse it through the log. I ain't trying to race here. I'm just trying to break this thing in the best that I can. The instructions tell you, 5 tanks of gas before you start cutting wood. But you know what? A little bit of load on a new engine is nice. It's good for it. So let's see what we can do here. Well, I'm kind of impressed. it cuts at a low RPM, but it pulls through the wood just like the old saw. Kind of weird. I'm gonna put some gas in that thing, and I'm missing the oil cap right now, but let's see what it's like. This thing hasn't ran in a bit. Well, that saw weighs a bit more. Definitely a lot more RPM. That chain is both dull and without oil. But the felling dogs on that saw, when you use them, they're very effective. On the other saw, they're pretend. So with a nice sharp chain, this saw will outperform that one any day of the week. But the other saw will use half the fuel and half the oil that will. So it's kind of like 6 in one, half dozen in the other. Like, if you got cheap small scale uses for a chainsaw, then get the cheap small scale saw. If you want to use something for 10 years or use it professionally, then get a professional saw. If you want both, then buy both. So what's the final verdict? Well, it's going to take time to really know, but my initial reaction is I'm impressed with the power head. I'm not impressed with the chain. Chain seems to be not happy. I mean, I don't know. That chain's got like 3 years on it. So maybe it's the adjustment, maybe it's the bar, I don't know. This chain's definitely slacking, but at the end of the day, if you're gonna spend $80 on this chainsaw, you can probably get yourself a pull start, you can get an air filter, fuel filter, maybe a chain. There you go, it's 80 bucks. If you want a chain and a bar, there you go. It's 80 bucks. Didn't even put oil in it yet. This thing for 80 bucks, if you use it carefully, it's probably a better decision than, I don't know, maybe have both. But it's up to you. It's just a matter of when this breaks, you're spending 80 bucks and you're gonna get another one. Then you can use the old one for parts. So I think the best value in these things is probably to buy them in pairs, and then the two of them can last quite a while together. Either way, injury is going to be less with the well-made saw. This chain break seems to be kind of not great. It didn't want to unlock on me every time. Goes forward fine. Unlocking seems to be when it wants to. The pull start, it's kind of weird. Like, you pull the pull start and then the saw turns and starts. So I don't know if they put a cord on it that has like kinetic energy. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So a bit chintzy, but it works and it cuts very fast for the amount of chain speed. And that could be just the way they did the brand new chain. Like, it seems to me that the rakers are actually low and nice. I mean, take a look at that. That's a good chunk. I got these rakers like way down, but this chain is its last day that it worked was a real hard day. Let's just say that. So hope you enjoyed. It's a little bit of a different change of pace of the JMP Saves Cars channel, but I'm excited to share my findings on this. You know, is it real? $80? Can you really get a chainsaw for $80 that cuts good? Yes. I ordered this on Temu. It literally showed up the next day. That's incredible. Do I support it long term? I don't know. There's a time and place for cheap tools. That's why Harbor Freight exists. That's why Princess Auto exists. That's why, you know, if you want expensive stuff to last a long time, you're going to have to pay for it. You want to fill a need quick and not spend all the money on that, then there you go. So looking forward to future videos and content involving chainsaws, power sports, power equipment, you name it, I work on it all. And I'm going to try and bring some good content to this channel that is outside of cars. Because, you know, we all look for different things on the internet to watch. So I'm just putting out what I look for because I want my subscribers to be basically my group of like-minded individuals. Yeah, enough out of me. Goodbye.
That's all I have to say about that.
But before I go, I've got one more thing that we can use. What better to compare the future than with the past? This beast right here is an early 50s, late 40s Lombard. And the build quality of this thing is insane. I haven't had this saw running in about 4 years. The pull start recoil screwed up on me, but this is what I mean. See this cup right here? It's not just for the recoil. When that sucker goes down on you, wrap your rope around that, and you go back to work.
They took care of you! Dig your jam! Dig your jam!
So let's give it a shot. Look at that. She hasn't gone far over the years. Made in Ashland, Mass. Not sure what year it is. Could be a 1953. 3 of 53. Or the 5th month, 3rd day of 56. I don't know. America. Look at the exhaust. Where's the silencer in that thing? I hope this thing comes back to life. So I'll set up the camera and we'll give her a shot. The guys that used to run these things out in the woods, I'm saluting you right now because I've got it clamped to my tailgate because I know what a bear this thing is to start. So let's see. See if it'll cut some wood. This get far away. You got to get into the wood and then adjust your choke so that you get the right fuel mixture on these old girls. Oh, and the carburetor just leaks the whole time. I'd say that was a pretty interesting comparison, huh? This saw is 70. The 034 is like a 1984. And the Temu saw is 2025. So that's 70 years of chainsaws. And I would say that this chainsaw was probably about 80 bucks when it was made. So is the Temu chainsaw better than an $80 chainsaw from the 50s? Yeah. Yes. Yes, it is. Yes. Is it cooler? No. This thing is really cool. Goodbye.